Hey guys, M here from Transformers and Video Games, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at G1 Seaspray, so sit back and enjoy, and as always don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Okay, so let's start things off by taking a look at the figure in package. This is a carded specimen that I was fortunate enough to buy for $65 Canadian online a number of years ago. The Minibots have been counterfeited a number of times over the years, and unfortunately Seaspray is no exception. If you're in the market for a carded specimen, make sure you do your research before buying. At the moment, vintage Canadian packaging hasn't been reproduced, so you're pretty safe going that route, or if you prefer the US packaging, then there are a number of things that you can watch out for. For starters, the hole that's been punched at the top of the card is off-center on the legitimate version, and the colors on the sunburst that appear behind the artwork of the figure are much more saturated on the knockoff card back. These are just a few indicators, but there are resources online that can provide you with a much more comprehensive list of differences. Speaking of the artwork, I absolutely love the way that Seaspray has been illustrated on the front of the packaging. They've drawn him in a really dynamic pose that actually makes the figure look super exciting and really helps sell the toy inside. As I mentioned earlier, this is the Canadian version, so he has a French name as well as an English name. This is one thing that I've always found really interesting about the Canadian G1 variants. And now we'll take a look at the back side of the packaging. Up top we've got the proof of authenticity, which is just Hasbro advertising the heat-activated rub signs, which they rolled out to help prevent knockoff Transformers. Then you've got the 4 steps to transformation here, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then down below, we'll take a look at the robot points. You could see that this figure is worth half a robot point, which everybody knows could be cut out and saved to use towards mail-away Transformers such as G1 Reflector. Here's one of those red tech spec decoder strips, which unfortunately the Walmart G1 reissues don't include with their figures. I'm not sure why. Now I'm just going to go ahead and read the figure's bio. His motto says, "Be unyielding as the ocean waves, and your enemies shall fall." The bio reads, "Displays a zest for his job unmatched by fellow Autobots, loves the ocean and its creatures, unhappy when he returns to land and reverts to robot form, loves the thrill of naval battle, can go 120 knots, 6,500 kilometer range, has sonar, radar, and underwater and surface-to-air lasers, also used in robot mode, wheels allow limited land travel, not too strong or mobile as a robot." Now here we are with the red tech spec decoder over top of the tech specs. I'm not going to read these to you, but here you can take the opportunity if you like to pause the video and take a closer look. Seaspray is an Autobot Minibot which was released in 1985 as part of Series 2 of the G1 Transformers line. Its alt mode is a blue, yellow, and white twin-rotor cargo hovercraft. Apparently this figure was going to be rolled out as part of the Diaclone pre-Transformers line in Japan, but that line of toys was cancelled and the mold was used for the first time under the Transformers branding as part of the Generation 1 line of toys. There's a decent amount of molded detail in place along the side of the alt mode, including panel lines. The front side of the figure, you can see the open window sections, which I don't like that much. I would have much preferred if they'd closed it in, maybe with recessed plastic, and then maybe blacked that out with just some black paint. I think it would have looked a lot more realistic. The back side of the figure, you can see the twin rotors. Now, if you're looking for a used specimen of this, I would make sure that these are intact. I've nearly bought specimens in the past where parts of those rotor blades are missing. You can see the top side of the figure. There is the heat-activated rub sign. Why don't we go ahead and see if we can activate it? Sometimes I find either my hands aren't hot enough or maybe just my air-conditioned house is too cool to activate the rub sign, but let's give it a go. And here we go. You can see the, at the moment, green Autobot faction symbol, which is pretty cool. Towards the back end along the top side of the alt mode, you can see some nice sticker details. Now looking at the underside of the figure, here's the date stamp. It says Hasbro, 1984, copyright Takara Co. Limited, 1984 Japan. He's got 3 plastic wheels here, which you can see roll nicely. Quite honestly, I find that most of the time with plastic wheels like these, they more or less slide along a smooth surface, unlike rubber wheels which actually grip it and roll a little bit more properly. Other than my minor complaint about the windows, overall I think they've done a really nice job with the alt mode. Now we'll do a couple of quick size comparisons. Here he is next to G1 Optimus Prime. Now I chose this figure because I think most collectors, old and new, have a G1 Optimus Prime in their collection. And here he is next to G1 Bumblebee, which thanks to the G1 Walmart reissues, I think most people have this in their collection as well. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into the transformation. Start off by grabbing the front end of the vehicle and the back end firmly and pull, revealing the robot legs. Then rotate the front section of the vehicle 90 degrees to become the robot feet. Rotate the propeller section backwards to reveal the robot head. And then in this case here, I'm just moving the arms up 45 degrees or so along the sides. And that's it for the transformation. It's about as basic and easy as it gets. Now we'll take a closer look at the figure in robot mode. He's got some molded details along the mouth section and his visor is painted black. The inside of his arms are hollow. I know a lot of people give modern retail Transformers a hard time about that, but you can see that they were doing it as far back as Generation 1. The back side of the figure is fairly clean. Of course, you can see the propeller blades, but I mean, that's how he looked in the cartoon. His side view, you can see he does have giant clown feet, or I should say he's got one big clown foot. That's one thing that always bothered me about Seaspray is I found that aspect of the robot mode really lazy. I don't think it would have been a big deal for them to give him some foot separation. I just think it would have made for a much stronger robot mode. Overall, I think the robot mode's not bad, but I do think that he's stronger in his alt mode. I think that's where this figure shines. Now we'll get into the articulation. No head movement, it's fixed in one position, but if you want to cheat a little bit, you can move this whole section up and down at the back so we can nod yes or no. The arms will not rotate a full 360 because the propeller section gets in the way. And then I guess you could say he does have some foot articulation, but that's, again, just due to transformation. There's really nothing practical you can do with the foot movement as far as posing the figure. Now, much like we did in alt mode, let's get into a couple of size comparisons. Why don't we start off here with Optimus Prime in robot mode. So you can see how much smaller Seaspray is. He comes up to around Optimus Prime's waist section. Then here he is next to G1 Bumblebee. Now they're of course better scale because they're both Minibots, and I think they look great together. Here we are with the figure back in alt mode, and I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. In conclusion, would I recommend adding a G1 Seaspray to your collection? Well, if you're a fan of G1 Transformers already, then I'd say go for it. It's certainly not going to set you back much money to add this figure to your collection. I still see them going for anywhere from between $10 to $15 at most places that sell vintage Transformers. If you're not already a fan of G1 Transformers, then I wouldn't recommend testing the waters with old Seaspray here. I think the figure has a solid hovercraft mode, but I know that most people like to display their figures in robot mode, and I just think that there are better Minibots out there that you can start with that have a more successful robot mode than Seaspray does. Anyways, thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care.